What is going on, YouTube? It's Gene here, and the new Shadowverse set has just been revealed. It's called Altersphere, and we are going to talk about the cards that have been spoiled so far. There's a total of 23 cards, I believe, and here we go. First card revealed was Marian the Mummy. It's a 5 mana 5/5 Shadowcraft Bronze. Its effect is can only attack the enemy leader and ignores the enemy follower's ward. First off the bat, it's a very high statted 5-drop, being a 5 mana 5/5, and as well as on the evolve, it can have Storm. It still ignores the enemy follower's ward and can attack any enemy. This card has some potential in more of an aggro Shadowcraft deck, but it's also still very decent in Take 2, because stats are everything in Arena. Next up, we got a neutral card, Reize Spice Cherub. It's a 2 mana 2/2 with Fanfare Enhanced 4 draw card. More of a Take 2 card. Witch's Snap. Now, Runecraft has the 2 mana deal 3 to a follower, but also has an added effect where it adds an Earth Essence to your hand. This seems pretty good because 2 mana deal 3 to any follower has been good in any class, and more buff to Dirt Rune is pretty good in my opinion. Next we have a Havencraft Silver follower, Colette Holy Gunner. 2 mana 2/2 Fanfare, randomly perform one of the following. You put a mana stick Holy Water into your hand or deal 1 damage to your enemy follower. This seems a little bit too RNG for me. Like, adding a Monastic Holy Water is not that great, and dealing 1 damage to your enemy follower is not that great, especially if you're playing Haven. Next, for a gold for Portalcraft, 4 mana 3/4 Liam Master of Puppets. Fanfare, put a puppet into your hand. It's alright, but its main thing is that its evolve effect is you put a Zwei Murderous Puppet into your hand and subtract 1 from its cost. So, especially if you go first, since the evil turns turn 5, Zwei will cost 6 if you evolve Liam on turn 5. So that means you'll have something else to play on turn 6, being Zwei. Zwei is also very good, but it's even better if you don't have to run it, because there's always space that you want to put in instead of Zwei, but if you get it off of free Evo, especially gets its max stats from Evo instead of just a regular +1/+1 for an effect like this, which is pretty good. Next we got a Forest Silver follower, 5 mana 4/5 Forest Defender. When this follower's attack or defense is increased by a spell effect, deal 2 damage to all enemy followers. Unlike all the other effects that have this sort of trigger where it's gain attack or defense by a spell effect, this one is actually very good because board clearing in Forest is now non-existent since Cassiopeia is rotating out for rotation. So this might be run, especially with the 2 mana amulet that gives Bane and +1 health to a random enemy minion. Not a random enemy minion, one of your minions. It can help board clear your opponent's board very easily. Next we got a Runecraft Silver follower, Palla Student Teacher. It's also Mysteria. 4 mana 3/3 Fanfare, put a Burgeoning Genius into your hand, and Evo, subtract 1 from the cost of Mysteria card in your hand. The Evo effect is somewhat decent. The Fanfare Burgeoning Genius is alright. Burgeoning Genius is the 4 mana, give yourself an extra Evo point, as well as if you have 20 cards less in your deck, you summon the 3/3 Ward Golem. Yeah, not much I can say about this card. Next we have the first card, one of the first cards that were revealed for this set, Alterplane Arbiter, 7 mana 6/6 neutral legendary. Fanfare, randomly put 2 different basic cards from the enemy's leader's class into your hand and subtract 3 from their cost. They just blatantly just copied Nefarian from Hearthstone, didn't they? Like, Nefarian didn't subtract 3 from their costs, which would make it more broken, but this game is just getting too much RNG into its game. I feel scared for what they're going to do later in the future, if this is the route they're taking for RNG. Next we have Soldier's Vow, 5 mana gold amulet for Swordcraft. Whenever you play a commander follower, put a random officer that costs X play points from your deck into play. X equals the original cost of the commander follower. This card seems pretty broken, but the turn you play, you literally just get nothing unless you have a small follower, a small commander to go along with it. Turn 5 is a really crucial turn as well. Next is a 3 mana 2/3 neutral follower, Barkeep. Fanfare. If your leader's defense is less than your opponent's, deal 2 damage to the enemy leader. It's fine for take 2. Maybe in some aggro list it might enter, but I don't really see it. Bloodcraft Bronze Follower, Arion. 8 mana 5/5. Accelerate 3, deal 1 damage to all enemies. Fanfare, deal 2 damage to all enemies. This is a fine take 2 card. Next, Shadowcraft Legendary, Corpsewyrm Fafnir, 9 mana 8/10. Fanfare, Necromancy X. Deal X damage to all other followers. X equals the defense of the enemy follower with the highest defense in play. So if there are no enemy followers in play, it will not trigger its Fanfare. But if it does, if they do have an enemy follower, it will literally just clear the whole board, or at least as much as you have shadows, which Shadowcraft does not have a board clear particular, but 9 cost is pretty late in the game for board clear. Look, I think we still have Mist of Extinction, but that only gets rid of 4 defense or less. This one gets rid of everything, hopefully, because by turn 9 you usually have a lot of unspent shadows. Next we have Havencraft Silver, 9-drop 5/5 Battlefield Inquisitor. Accelerate 5, destroy an enemy follower amulet. Fanfare, do the same thing. This is basically a cheaper Seraphic Blade for them if they want to get rid of something higher than a 2-drop, but they also have creature and amulet banishment. I think it was called Acolyte's Light. So if you want to run this, you can, but there's better options out there. Next, we have Dragoncraft Legendary, Dragon Empress Otohime. 7 mana 3/4, Accelerate 1, you summon an Otohime's Vanguard. Fanfare, you fill until your board's full. So it's like the old Otohime, but instead of summoning 1/2 wards, you summon 1/1 rushes, which is a much more aggressive Otohime. This card I will 100% see play. It is a very good card. Otohime saw a lot of play when it was in rotation. So will this card. Next up we have 3 mana 4/1 Insane Dark Elf Forestcraft Bronze. Has Rush and Fanfare enhanced 6, gains +3/+3, which is pretty good. When this follower attacks an enemy follower, you put a fairy into your hand. This card is mainly just going to be used to trade, and it gives you more fairies. It's a pretty good card. Zealot of Lust, Bloodcraft, 4 mana 4/3 Bronze. Fanfare, deal 1 damage to your leader, then deal 1 damage to an enemy. This card I think was going to see a lot of play in the Bloodcraft decks right now, because they're losing a lot of self-damaging cards like Scorpius, Snarling Chains, and all that, so they need more things to damage themselves to bump up the Dark Feast back count and the Omen of Lust count. Vengeful Radiance, 4 mana Havencraft Gold spell. Fully restore all damaged ally followers' defense. Deal X damage to all enemy followers. X equals the total amount of defense restored. A lot of people have been saying this card is very situational, but even restoring 2 defense, 4 mana deal 2 is okay. It'll be just like a Nova Flare, which is seeing played right now. But if you heal like 3, it does 3 damage to everything, and it'll just become an amazing board clear. Plus, Haven doesn't have a board clear till turn 8, so having a 4 mana somewhat of a board clear is pretty good in my opinion for Haven. Next we got the Swordcraft Legendary, Aether of the Warrior Wing, 3 mana 2/3 Commander. Fanfare, randomly put one of the highest cost Swordcraft followers that cost X play points or less from your deck into your hand. X equals your total amount of play points plus 1. Evolve, give 0 +0/+1 to all ally followers. So its fanfare is basically helps you curve out whenever you play Aether. And its Evo is basically Aether's old effect, giving +1 toughness to everything. Edict of Truth. Draw cards until there are 9 cards in your hand. If this card spell was at least 9 times, recover 7 play points. Runecraft Gold, 7 mana spell. This card only works with Runecraft's Omen because if you just draw it randomly in your deck, it's just a 7 mana draw till you have 9. It's good if you don't have anything else to play, but I don't see it being played unless you're playing the new Omen. Galebell, the Holy Temple, Havencraft, 1 mana, 0/2. Fanfare, you put either Sacred Plea or Beastly Vow into your hand, and Evo will just be a 2/4. This is pretty good because having a way to get Sacred Plea in rotation is amazing because Sacred Plea is just a great card. And this just makes Sacred Plea a 2 mana, draw 2 later, which is still pretty fine in my opinion. Disdainful Mocking. Dragoncraft, 2 mana bronze spell, deal 3 damage to any follower, enhance forward, then deal 1 to all followers. So, Dragoncraft got another 2 mana, deal 3 to enemy follower, but this time with again, another enhance effect. Remember Breath of Salamander? This is basically the second coming of it in a bronze form. Also helps you trigger your disdain cards pretty easily. So it's basically, for 4 mana, you deal 4 to 1 minion and then deal 1 to everything else, which is pretty amazing for just a 2 mana spell. This card will 100% see play, especially since it's still pretty much cheap removal. Next up we got Corrupted Al-Miraj. 2 mana, 0/2, Bane. That's all it is. Pretty much. Next lastly, we have the card everyone's been talking about, everyone's been hyping, and it's Executor Sylvia. 9 mana, 4/4, Portalcraft legendary. Accelerate 3, deal 3 damage to an enemy follower. If you can evolve your followers this turn and you still have remaining evolution points, additionally spend 1 evolution point and additionally deal 3 damage to all enemy followers. And it has ward, can't be targeted by spells and effects. Fanfare, deal 4 to an enemy. And its Evo is the same thing as its previous. So this card's pretty underwhelming. People are hyping it way too much. Its Accelerate 3 is fine, but deal 3 for 3 mana, deal 3 to an enemy follower is not the best since we have a lot of 2 mana deal 3s. And as well as its additional cost is mandatory if you have an additional Evo point you just have lying around, which is pretty insane because there's no Evo points are like the most valuable resource there is in Shadowverse. So just wasting 1 Evo point just to clear the board is not that great, especially for an auxiliary cost, and its regular ability is not even that great as well. Just a 9 mana 4/4 with ward basically. You could just Evo, kill it, or just run into anything. It's a 4/4. It's not that big to get rid of. Yeah, it's pretty sad. I was hoping this card would be at least a little bit better. It, like, the flavor wise, it is there because she's related to Olivia. She's the same stats as Olivia, and also has to do with Evo points. But Olivia's just way better. I was hoping at least she would be like, I knew she was gonna do something with Evo points, but I didn't think it was gonna be in this direction. But to be fair, 3 mana, deal 6 to 1 enemy follower and deal 3 to all is amazing, but using an Evo point is pretty devastating, especially since right now in rotation the best Portalcraft deck is Lashana, as she needs her Evo points just for her. So unless they give us more Evo point recovery effects, at least 1 in the new coming stuff for Portalcraft, I don't see this card being played that much. So that's it for the cards revealed so far. What are your guys' thoughts? Please leave them in the comments down below. And Gene, out.